What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You with Black Fathers Now. And yo, we got an episode with a brother who has a story that's definitely going to inspire you to not just think, but to think big. And the brother that we have on today is none other than my man, Billy Keels. The brother's a husband and a father. He's an international real estate investor, author, speaker, coach. And what's interesting is the brother's based out of Barcelona, Spain. He's been there for like a decade and a half. And he speaks like, 4, 5, 12, 44 languages, something like that. And so we got him on the show to really talk about his system, to talk about his process, but then to really talk about his life and how it comes back to impact him as a father. So fellas in the Black Fathers Now family, let's welcome my man, Billy Keels. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Mike, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm fired up, man. How can I not be fired up after that kind of intro?
Well, that's what this thing is all about, man. We got to fire each other up because your story is going to fire us up. So I got to fire you up. Dig that.
There you go.
Well, so with our platform, the format that I typically roll with is I like the brothers to give shout outs first, because who are we without our village? So if you don't mind, before we get into your story, give some shout outs, man. Let the folks know who is that village that helps Billy Keels, do his thing and impact the world.
So I'm very fortunate because a lot of the first shout outs would go to my parents, number one, because they set the foundation, and both my mom and my dad, by showing me and my brother and sister what it was all about, to go out to work hard, and also not to just accept the average, right? They kept the bar really, really high for us. And they did that even through realizing their relationship didn't work out for them. So they always helped me to understand and feel that I was the most important thing in their life, me and my brother and sister. But since it's about me, then we're going to talk about me. So I always felt that love. So big, of course, big shouts go out to them. My brother and sister for having been with me from the time that they were born and moving around multiple states when we started, from Colorado to Texas, back to Ohio, and then me moving away, and always knowing that even though we were constantly changing, that they were always there and have always been there for me as somebody somebody I can reach out to, and there's no judgment, there's nothing like that. And then recently to my wife, who is here, she's from Spain, and she has dealt with all kinds of craziness with me, meaning good and bad, thinking major things, and sometimes taking on things that people thought were unbelievable. She's always been very, very supportive, challenging when she needs to be. And then I guess kind of the two main reasons that I'm even here today or able to speak to you, those two little men. So I've got two boys, 8 and 10 years old. And wow. I give them big shouts out because they are the driving force that helps me realize that it's not just about me anymore. And it hasn't been just about me for a while. And they help me to remember when I'm doing things, they help me to feel like a wonderful, supportive, loving father. And when I'm off track, too busy with work, looking at my phone, doing things that when I'm should be with them and am with them, that I should be doing. So they're that constant reminder. So those are the shouts out that come to the top of my mind. And yeah, I'm sure there's more things we'll talk about coming forward. So.
Absolutely, man. That's powerful, brother. I really appreciate you, really highlighting your village and highlighting those that have helped you and kind of paved the way for you to get to where you are. Because again, a lot of times we really celebrate ourselves, but we don't take time to celebrate the shoulders of the giants that we stand upon. And we have to do that and be mindful of that as we go forward. So thinking about that, man, like I mentioned before in the intro, you're based out of Barcelona, Spain. You've been there for umpteen years. You also mentioned like your brother and your sister in different states and all of that. And then you mentioned one thing about your parents, how you said even though their relationship didn't necessarily succeed, they still kept you all at the center and gave you all a playbook for success, which is extremely powerful. Walk us back a little bit and tell us a little bit about your backstory and what led you to where you are today, my man.
Sure. And so, Mike, I was born in Columbus, Ohio. So Midwest kid, and being from the Midwest, I guess that was, you're just kind of a Midwest kind of guy. So anybody from Ohio, OH, and I'm sure I'll get back to IO and anybody else Midwest and anybody else out there. So that's where it all started for me. And a little bit after I was born, my parents decided that they really wanted to change the kind of area that we were living in. My dad and mom, they were really big on showing me and my brother and sister, who would come along a couple of years later, that things could be there were things beyond Columbus, Ohio. So we moved out to Colorado. They took a big leap of faith, really, because we didn't have a family per se, although they had really good friends, and they became our village that helped us a lot when we were in Colorado. And my brother and sister were born there. We stayed there for about 6, 7 years. And then afterwards, we moved to Houston, Texas. And so their parents, once again, had a new opportunity, wanted to show us new things. And me and my brother and sister, my riding partners, so we were picking up the bags and going somewhere else, and changed schools a number of different times within living in Houston, Texas. And it was at that point, Mike, that my parents really started having the first signs of marital problems. And so there were some, issues at home and things like that. And it got to a point that it was really about my mom moving back to Ohio with me and my brother and sister, while my dad stayed in Texas for a while. And eventually they were able to reconcile. My dad came back to Ohio for a bit. I then started getting into middle school, high school, and things were moving forward. And eventually it just didn't work out for them, right? They tried it again and again. And, me and my brother and sister were there, and my parents, their relationship didn't last. And in spite of all that, like I said before, it really helped me and my brother and sister to stay focused, know that it was about loving one another and being there for one another. And because that's what we received from our parents. So afterwards, went to college in the southwest of Ohio. And then that's really when my life completely started to change, Mike, because after 5 years, 2 college degrees, I actually finished in 4 years and decided I wanted to go back for a 5th degree. I had an opportunity to go to Spain. Actually, I wanted to learn Spanish. I added a 2nd degree, and it was going to be Spanish language and culture. And so rather than going to Mexico, I decided, well, just like my parents kind of did, if I want to go somewhere, I wanted to go a little bit further. So I worked a lot, was able to save up some money, was able to get a scholarship, and ended up going to Valencia, Spain. That was amazing. It had a lot of effects on my life and the way that things eventually have happened. But I guess in a way I can just tell you that when I was there, I had these big ideas that I wanted to learn Spanish and perfect the language and learn more about the culture. But the day I walked off the bus to live with a local family, and they were speaking so fast that I didn't understand anything, it scared me, I guess, internally, as I've looked and reflected on it now. And I ended up going back to, just kind of staying with what was safe. And I realized that after doing that for 3 months, I'd worked and saved all of this time, energy, and money. And I left not really learning Spanish, and I left not really understanding more about the culture, which is what one of my really big goals was. And so I said, if I ever had a chance to do that again, I would completely do the opposite. And I went back to Spain. And the reason I say that, because I met a really amazing friend. He would get a shout out to Andy. And when I was finishing up my 5th year, he told me about this amazing role with this company where they actually paid people to travel around the world.
Wow. Hold up.
Now, so, yeah. So, so it was crazy, Mike. I mean, it was just
for real.
Yeah. So it was really crazy. I mean, just to put it into perspective. So I ended up going into this job. There were like 3,000 people or so that applied for the role. It was right before the 1996 Olympics. I was fortunate to be in a class, I think it was 20 or 22 people that started. And the company that I was working for, basically we were working with Fortune 500 C-levels and their executive teams on either business meeting type of trips or incentive travel. And so in a span of 5 years, Mike, what that meant was I had the opportunity to work and travel throughout 58 different countries. And so my mind was just like, just completely opened up my mind. Fast forward a little bit, and because after that 5 years in 58 countries, I thought, wow, I don't know if I can go back to a quote unquote normal job. So I decided that I wanted to live overseas, because there was like this piece of my heart that I was missing, because I said, I've had that overseas, that European experience that I wanted. And the first time I did it, it didn't really work out like I planned. And so I said, if I ever got another chance, I was going to do it again. So I'd worked and I'd saved, and I was fortunate enough to get accepted to a university in Paris called the Sorbonne, or La Sorbonne, as they say. And while I was there, It was, I mean, it was amazing. Like I started learning about the French language, the culture. I started to also learn how to salsa dance, Cuban style. And
Wow.
also,
In
and then,
Paris, hold on. Salsa dance,
yeah.
Cuban style in Paris.
Yeah. So that was pretty amazing, and learn more about wines. And since then, I was supposed to stay there for 1 year. It was supposed to be a 1 year sabbatical. But just to sum up, and then we can move on. That was in September of 2001. Since then, I lived in France. I lived in Paris. I was down in the south of France. Then moved to Italy. I was living in Italy for a while, and then back to France. And then I've been living in Barcelona since July of 2015. Got married, 2 sons, and just excited about living in Europe and being a part of this area, this culture here in the Mediterranean, and also what's happening on the forefront now is being able to connect even more with the United States. So kind of living between these two worlds.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, dude, I'm sitting here, my jaw just dropped in regards to the experiences. And, first off, one of the goals for my wife and I is we want our kids to touch every continent in the world, minus Antarctica, before they finish high school. Like, that's the whole goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before they finish high school. And but one of the things that you mentioned, man, is just the notion of you really wanting to dive into Spanish culture. And instead of going to Mexico, you chose to go farther and actually go to Spain. And I go back to what you mentioned about your parents. There's this concept that I tend to roll off of, and it's, exposure leads to opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like your parents growing up were big on giving you all exposures, which then lead to opportunities. And so I guess my question then, without the opportunities and the exposures that your parents laid out for you, off the jump, do you think you would even be open to exploring in the fashion that you chose to explore as you became an adult?
So it goes back to giving props to them. And I didn't realize it at the time, but them actually moving from Columbus to Colorado was a big step. It showed not just by words, but actions. And so in the simplest terms, it's a lot less probable that those things would have happened had my parents not done what they did.
Wow.
Meaning said what they were going to do and then actually do what they did. So it's a lot less probable that it would have happened without their influence and exposure.
And what's interesting about that is, your parents went from Ohio to Colorado to Texas, which is a big jump at the time in which they did that. And we always think about the concept of standing on the shoulders of giants, right? And then when I think about the concept of legacy is something that can be built upon in your absence, right? And so your parents went from Ohio to Colorado to Texas, and then fast forward 15 years, Billy went from the U.S. to Spain, back to the U.S., to Paris, to then 58 other countries, to Spain, to Italy, to now living in Barcelona for the last, umpteen years. It's interesting how this thing works, and the seeds that get planted, and we don't even know the seeds that we're planting or what it'll sprout to.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it in a high level, but the way that you just explained that, I mean, it's pretty scarily accurate. So yeah, and that's also one of the reasons it's important for me now at this point to go beyond, right? Because one of the things that I've always thought of, because it's one of the things that I talk to a lot about with my dad and my mom, is they've pushed the envelope beyond what they knew and maybe what they were comfortable with, and so now, because they really kind of moved as many things and barriers out of my way as possible, I've been able to see and do more than I ever thought, man. And so now the bar is set high, and I need to do that and want to do that for my boys. So.
Dude, and I think, fellas, I hope you all are paying attention to what Billy just dropped there, man. It's the notion of not just talking about it, but being about it, right? Kids don't always do what they're told, but there's a strong likelihood that they will replicate or repeat what they see. And if you're modeling really strong, positive behaviors, this is something that they can build upon and go forward with. Because as you think about, what is it, Moore's Law, where was it every 48 hours, things are, escalating or doubling, exponential growth or whatnot. If you really stop and you think about that, the opportunity and the information and the resources that are available to the next generation are going to be exponentially farther along than what we are. We probably can't even conceive what our kids will have access to when they are our age. So when you set the stage when you plant those seeds, when you open up that window of opportunity for them to start thinking bigger, to thinking outside of the box, then you don't know what you really could be opening the door to. So be mindful of actually being about that action, fellas. Pay attention to what Billy just did. This is dope.
Yeah.
Like this is like some really, really good stuff, man. Like I'm inspired myself. I don't know if you even see the sweatshirt that I'm wearing. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
This is one of this is one of our joints, man. It's a deposit a little love in the world, but literally thinking about things from a global perspective, man. Like this is really definitely something to think about. And so moving forward with that, I mean, so it's not just the travel, it's not just working with companies that put you all over the world. You then kind of move forward in regards to entrepreneurship and creating something. And you know, this whole thing was, is it KeepOnCashFlow?
Yep, KeepOnCashFlow. Yep,
KeepOnCashFlows. Like that was the thing that really kind of opened my mind to some of the things that you're doing from a real estate investing perspective. Talk to us about this whole entrepreneurial journey and the development of KeepOnCashFlow.
Yeah, so one of the things that will happen to us frequently, right? Because I'm still working for a very large corporate, and I work in application software sales, and that's wonderful. And so there's this whole opportunity that exists when I've been working in the corporate world for a better part of 20 years. And so one of the things that happened was I was always, I'm a reforming, how do I say it? I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Okay, gotcha.
So meaning that I went to school, got the good grades, did what I was supposed to do, and went out and said, hey, listen, I'm going to get in the job, move up the corporate ladder, and that's what I'm going to do. And so when they said, hey, listen, max out your 401k, that's what I did, because that's what good students do. So I maxed out the 401k and was doing it all the time. And back in 2000, I'd been working for a couple of years, and we had this Y2K, and things went a little bit crazy. My stock market started falling. And then I was doing that for a while, and things were going really, really well. And then I lost what I lost. It started to come back. And then there was this thing that happened again in 2008. And so then I lost about 33% of my portfolio. And I started thinking, well, what are you going to do now? Are you going to let it happen again? Or are you going to do something differently? And it was right around that time that I read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Robert Kiyosaki.
And yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. So I started reading the book. I put it down, didn't finish it. Then went back a little bit later, and I actually picked it up. I was back in the States, and I picked it up and read it on the way back over and devoured the book. And was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't actually do this. And that was the first thing. And then the second thing that was happening was I was in this mindset. I really wanted to climb the corporate ladder. I was going. And in October of, it would have been 2013 or 2014, my oldest son was having his birthday. And I remember getting on a plane, and I was getting on that plane and traveling to a business meeting in Germany. And it was my son's birthday. And I thought, wow, well, hang on a second, this isn't really what I wanted to be doing. I left my wife, our little son was 1, and I was flying out on his birthday. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, I can't, I just, something doesn't feel right about this. And so that was really the genesis, I believe, kind of that feeling, and that I wanted to do something. I wanted to take control over the financial part of my life. Now, it took a couple of years before I actually went from thinking about it, reading, getting educated, to taking action, right? Like I said, I'm a reforming perfectionist. So I realized in order to do things a little bit faster, and they may not be perfect, but they need to be done properly. That was kind of the genesis. And then things happened at my job. And after I read the book, and I looked to buying property here in Spain, and one thing led to the next. And I realized that, a friend of mine said, well, you're American. Why don't you actually look at purchasing real estate back in the United States? And I was like, that's actually interesting. So I looked into it, and I found out about it, and I bought my first properties. I always thought I was going to buy a single family residence, and ended up buying a duplex, and then bought a number of things since then. But what happened was I have friends here in Spain that were asking me a lot about what I was doing. And so I was super excited, and I was an expert, and I wanted to tell everybody what was going on, and blah, 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 blah. And I was answering the same questions over and over and over again here in Spain. And I had friends back at home, and they were like, tell me a little bit more about this. You seem excited. And so the Keep on Cashflow actually started from me really just sharing my story with other people, sharing my experiences, sharing what I was learning and also being able to interact with people. And so that is really where it started, wanting to share my knowledge and wanting to go out and educate the marketplace and also help people realize that sometimes we think that things are not possible because we've not tried them. And so now that I realize that long distance investing can be a reality, it's something that I'm super excited about. And it's also one of the things that can tie in your own personal dreams when you go beyond what you think is the norm, right? Thinking about Keep on Cash Flow and what it is doing and what it's now providing. This is a way for also me to show my kids more about the US. Like, this is a way for me to transition and be able to say, okay, it's not just about the experience here in Europe. It's also about what is happening back stateside. And there are real assets that are there that are waiting for them to learn more about, so that that can potentially be something to take them to, I don't know, another continent on planet Earth. So so maybe a bit of a long-winded answer to your question, but that was kind of the genesis in helping you understand where Keep on Cash Flow came from, and the fact that we're really here to help educate people and hopefully break down some of the barriers that we think that keep us from moving forward. So.
And so I guess now dive a little bit more into Keep on Cash Flow. Like, how do you educate? Like, what are some of the resources you currently have available, and and how can folks kind of get involved and check out what you have going on, brother?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the easiest way to check out is going to our website. But one of the things that basically I've been doing over the last probably 2.5 years is just putting out information. Basically, you can go there and you can find a blog and you'll find videos, and which is actually really cool. I like the videos a lot because I feel like I can really help to teach and respond to questions. And that's one of the ways that I really enjoy it, and being able to also not just have the video portion, but being able to use the audio portion, because I'm one of these people now. I'm listening to a lot of things as I'm either driving or on a plane and stuff like that. And it's just a great way to use time that you would consider normally to be dead time, that you can use to educate yourself and learn new things and challenge thought processes and stuff like that. So anytime you would go to the website or look across different social media channels, you're going to find me sharing my experiences in a way that hopefully connects with you, so that you can start to tear down, or either maybe think about some things that you hadn't thought about before, or start to challenge some of the thoughts that you had, so that you ultimately are going to get educated. You are going to then take action on whatever goal or dream or objective that you have for yourself. So that's really the point of Keep on Cash Flow. When you go there, that's where you'll find videos, blogs, and you have resources that are there. We're also in the process of changing a lot of it, because it's been now is the point where people are asking for new different things, which is one of the major reasons I enjoy being there with people. And so we're revamping things to be more centralized and get people the type of content that they're really looking for. So.
Man, that's so dope, dude. Like, I'm big on mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you think really matters. I think Carter G. Woodson stated in the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, when you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions, right? And he was using that from a negative perspective, talking about how during Jim Crow and all of that, how we didn't have to be told to go to the back door. We didn't have to be told to, basically stay in our place. But if you think about that on the opposite end of the spectrum, when your mindset shifts and you start to see the possibilities, you start to understand that literally there's so much opportunity. Like, and one of the real reasons I really wanted you to come on this platform is I want brothers to really understand that the world is 7.7 billion people, right?
And growing.
Right? And the United States only makes up like 5% of the world's population. Again, take a step back. So when you start looking at your neighborhood or just your community and you see only the opportunities that are available right there, don't limit yourself. And you have to see brothers that look like you, that you can directly connect with, to see the social proof of what's possible, to realize that don't put a fence around the opportunity. Don't put a fence around your mind, because you are capable of so much more if you're willing to open yourself up to it.
Correct. Completely agree with you. In the mind, there's so much power in the mind, in thinking. And many times when you begin to affirm what you want to do, you begin to visualize what you want to do. Before you know it, what you were thinking about has become a new reality. And then you're thinking about, okay, how do I take this new reality and take it to the next level?
Just like, but again, going back to like your parents, exposure leads to opportunity. They showed you that, hey, just get up, move. Let's go try something else. Let me expose you to different things. And you all took that new reality and you took it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Fellas,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you all actually get the fact that we're talking, this brother's in Barcelona, Spain, and I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're talking about investing. We're talking about life. We're talking about fatherhood. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about possibilities. And these are two brothers that look just like you.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Definitely.
that's deep to me, man.
Yep.
So when we think about like Keep on Cash Flow and everything that you have going on, man, how can the Brothers and the Black Fathers Now family, how can they support you? Is there anything that you'd like to promo, to put out there? The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, there's not, let's say in terms of promo, it's not really a promo, but I think one of the things that I have really appreciated is anytime you reach out and you have a curiosity about something and you take away those barriers, you know, we make it easy because Mike and Billy are putting ourselves out. We're putting ourselves out here because we want to share our story. We want it to help you either become more educated around a topic, to inspire some type of curiosity, and ultimately help you to realize that it is possible. And so I try to make it really easy, putting things out on social media, being able to go through, look at your own time, at your own pace. You go to the website, KeepOnCashFlow. There are times when people have wanted to reach out directly to me. You know, you get a direct message on Instagram or, hey, how can we actually speak or talk? And one of the things that did happen is I started getting inundated with that kind of stuff, which was great. So I've created a way for people, if they want to talk to me or just ask questions, or that they can do that as well, and go to bit.ly/speak-with-Billy.
Okay.
bit.ly/speak-with-Billy. And also I had an Amazon best-selling book that came out and that is still on Amazon. But Mike, one of the things we can do for the guys is just have them just go to growyourmoneythesmartway.com.
Okay.
And there they can pick up a free copy of the book. We'll ask them for their email and address and stuff like that. And it allows us, just so everybody knows, you get your name, email, and then it allows us to stay in touch. You find out more about what we're doing in the Keep On Cashflow community. And it's primarily like a weekly newsletter where people can go and find things. But I'm really open to sharing my experience, and with the hope that this is a way for me to be able to start paying things back. You know, I was especially as a young man, I really, as a curious guy, would always ask as much as I can. And I realized that at this point in my life, I'm also very curious. I still want to continue to learn and grow. I do that every day. And I also know that at this point I have enough experience and have gained the trust of enough people where I can also help others. Doesn't necessarily mean I'll resonate with everybody, but there are people that I definitely will be able to help. And those people that I can help, I'm definitely happy to be able to do that. So.
Man, I appreciate it. And brothers, we're going to have the information in the show notes. You can visit growyourmoneythesmartway.com to get a free book after you enter your information in growyourmoneythesmartway.com. And you can get a free book from Billy's best-selling book that's online, as well as visit bit.ly/speak-with-Billy to connect with him directly. And then also you can visit KeepOnCashFlow.com. So I'll have all of that information in the show notes. You all reach out to the brother. Make sure you let him know you heard about him on Black Fathers Now. And just literally, he's a wealth of information. He's a wealth of inspiration. And literally, he's a living embodiment of what is possible if you take a step back and open your mind. Literally, take a step back and open your mind. One question before we get out of here, man.
Sure, man.
How has all of this journey, how is your life, how has all of this come back to impact you as a father, as a Black father specifically?
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that will happen on a day-to-day basis, right? I start to think about. Well, I think about as a Black father who is living in Europe, who's had a chance to be schooled in the United States, in high school, everything up through university. Had a chance to be schooled through university in France, and in Spain. And now I have two young children who are going through schooling in Spain, right? Which for me is it's just
wow.
I walk around and I look at my kids and they speak Catalan in their school. They speak Spanish as their mother tongue, and they speak English because they speak with daddy.
Uh-huh.
And all of these different experiences, some of the things, and I love your Mike, I hope you allow me to use that in the future.
Oh, go, man.
Exposure leads to opportunities.
Absolutely.
I love that because one of the things that has happened, man, is there are just so many, having been exposed to so many different things, and sometimes having been the only guy in the room who looks like me, it starts to make you realize that probably when I was younger, it made me feel kind of strange. But as I've gone through the corporate life and as I've traveled through 86 countries now at this point in my life, I've realized that there are moments in your life where, and it doesn't matter who you are, you will probably be the only person that looks like you. And you have to realize that it's the fact that you are exposed to these opportunities and what you do with these opportunities, the actions that you take or make, is really what will allow you to propel forward towards your goals. If you take difference as something as negative and you don't embrace that, the exposure that you had to that unique opportunity is something that you have completely wasted, right? Embrace it, recognize that you need to go through that, and it'll help make you a much more powerful person. It will give you an ability to decide on whatever it is that you have, and that really that clarity will give you an amazing power on the other side of things. So, not really having had that question asked, it makes me go down just my life experiences, and that's really what I believe will help you through my experience to become an even more powerful person moving forward. But you've got to be able to embrace the opportunity and take advantage of the exposure, really.
Embrace the opportunity and take advantage of the exposure and realize your uniqueness is power. It's not anything wrong with it. Your uniqueness is power. Man, Billy, dude, you dropped some bars, brother. That's all I got to say. You dropped bars, and, I hope the fellas really take heed to what you said. And you probably got to listen to this one more than once because he dropped a lot of information. And definitely make sure to follow Billy Keels, KeepOnCashFlow on all the social media channels and outlets. Visit growyourmoneythesmartway.com for a free book from Billy, as well as visit KeepOnCashFlow.com. And if you want to speak with Billy, visit bit.ly/speak with Billy, and he'll get back with you and y'all can connect with the brother. Again, this brother's doing things on a massive scale, opening your mind, opening the possibilities. Pay attention because this is something that you can learn from and take action on. This is Black Fathers Now, not just Black Fathers Now. What are you going to do now with the information that you learn? Billy, thank you, my brother, for spending time with us.
Mike, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
No doubt, no doubt. Fellas, as always, make sure to visit blackfathersnow.com. Subscribe via all the various podcast listening apps. Leave ratings. Please leave us some ratings. We'd love that. It helps us to improve in the search functions. Make sure to subscribe and make sure to follow on all the different social media outlets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Get at your boy. Just follow, and share this out. It's going to help some people. And until next time, fellas, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.